Hi everyone, it's Kelly here. Welcome to my channel if this is your first time. Welcome back if you've been before. Lovely to have you either way. On this channel we talk books, and today I am very late giving you a haul of books that I picked up in, I'm gonna say, March? Yeah, March. I'm just working back based on how many piles of books I've got still to haul for you. So this is my March haul, and it's not crazy huge for me. What have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 new books, and roughly the same in second-hand books. So yeah, this is a relatively small haul for me because if you've been here for some time, you will know that often my hauls are huge. So let's dive in and have a look at the books that I've picked up. So my new books are in a couple of categories. The first category is books that I ordered because they were long-listed for the Stella Prize. So this year I am attempting to read the Stella Prize, at least the shortlist, which I'm going really well on. I'm currently reading book 5 of 6 of the shortlist, and I've got one more to go to do that, and then I will hopefully also be able to read the rest of the long list as well, especially because a lot of the books that I was the most excited about from the long list were the ones that didn't make it to the short list. So hopefully we will be making our way through those. So starting off with the final of the shortlisted books that I'm yet to read, which is Black Convicts, How Slavery Shaped Australia by Santilla I don't know how to say that. You won't be able to read that either. Chingaipe? I'm not sure. I'm so sorry. I'm sure I've said that incorrectly. So yeah, I'm really interested in this one. So this is actually the one that made it to the shortlist that I was very excited about because I'd gone out and bought this one because it sounded really interesting. So on the back it says, the story of Australia's black convicts has been all but erased from our history. In recovering their lives, the author offers a fresh understanding of this fatal short, showing how empire, slavery, race and memory have shaped our nation. So this is documenting the lives of, or what we know about the lives of several black convicts. So yeah, if anyone watching is not super familiar with the history of Australia, we started out as there were Aboriginal people were the first peoples of our nation, and then we had the British colonisers who used Australia as a place to send people who were convicted of crimes. This was their sentence to come out from England to Australia. So yeah, and among those were several black people. So that's what this book is about, and I'm really excited to read it. I've kind of saved it till last of the short list, and I've read the ones that I was less interested in first because I think this is going to be the one that I like the best, but we'll have to wait and see when I actually get to it. Hopefully soon. I'm planning on reading it actually this week, but I'm just finishing or about halfway through one of the other books. The next book that I picked up, which was on the long list, was Always Will Be by Mykaela Saunders. This is one that I've had on my wish list for some time. So when I saw that it was long listed, I was like, well, now's the time. I've got to get it now. So this is, it says, Stories of Guri Sovereignty from the Futures of the Tweed. In this stunningly inventive and thought-provoking collection, Mykaela Saunders poses the question, what might country, community and culture look like if First Nations sovereignty was asserted? Each of the stories in Always Will Be is set in its own future version of the Tweed, which is a region of Australia. In one, a group of girls plot their escape from an institution they have no memory of entering. In another, 2 men make a final visit to the country they love as they contemplate a new life in a faraway place. Saunders imagines different scenarios for how the local Aboriginal community might exercise their sovereignty, reclaiming country, exerting full self-determination, or incorporating non-Indigenous people into the social fabric, while practicing creative, ancestrally approved ways of living with changing climates. So I'm excited for this one. This is one I've had my eye on for a little while, so I'm very excited to get to that one this year is my hope. Hopefully soon. Another book that I picked up, and I would say this is, when I read the premise of this book, is what got me excited. It's another shortlisted book, and that is The Thinning by Inga Simpson. Now, I've not read any Inga Simpson, but I do own another one of her books, the name of which escapes me at this moment. Let me see. Does it say? Here we go. Actually, I've got two. I own two. Willow Man, which is her, prior to this one, her most recent book. And also Where the Trees Were, I think, is the other one that I've got. Oh, I might even have Nest as well. So I might have a couple of her books, but I've never read one. But anyway, this is The Thinning. And it, again, as I said, it was longlisted for the Stella Prize. It says, Finn grew up by an observatory learning about telescopes and planets inspired by the passions of her parents, then leaders in their fields of astrophotography and astronomy. Those days are long over. Now Finn, her mother, Dianella, and a band of outliers live deep off the grid, always on amber alert and always ready to run. In the outside world, things are not good. Extinctions and a loss of diversity threaten what's left of the environment. With a new disaster looming, Finn finds herself thrust into an unlikely partnership with a stranger who has appeared in their camp, one of a new breed of evolved humans, the incompletes, who are widely distrusted. But the pair will need to work together during a dangerous journey if they are to play their part in an audacious plan to help restore the natural world and humankind. So I'm quite excited to read this one, and hopefully I'll get a chance to get to it really soon. The other book that I purchased in March, it's May now, in March, for the Stella Prize, from the Stella Prize long list was Naag Mountain by Manisha Anjali. Apologies if I've said the name incorrectly. This one I ordered directly from the publisher, which is Giramondo, and this is a poetry collection. So the Stella Prize is multi-format. It's non-fiction, fiction. I don't know if short stories are in the mix, but poetry is in the mix as well. So yeah, this is the only poetry collection I believe that is on the long list, but it did not make it to the short list, unfortunately. So yeah, I'm interested in this one. It says, Naag Mountain is an imagined recovery of the little-known cultural inheritance of a displaced and exploited people. Historical figures, folk characters and spirits are entwined in a narrative poem coloured by the surrealism of dreams. A community whose ancestors from India were indentured by the colonial sugar refining company to labour on sugar plantations in Fiji receives their dreams as messages from their friends across the Tasman. A mysterious reel of film washes ashore in Port Douglas, which is in Australia, depicting harrowing violence under the indenture system. The historical actors walk out of the film and into the world of the living. The community walks into the projection. The Naag, the thousand-mouthed snake, conjures a floating mountain lined with flowering trees, mists and dreams. Naag Mountain is an exquisite work that resounds with the reminder of what can be reclaimed when a community moves toward their awakening. So that sounds really interesting, and I'm a poetry reader, so yeah, very excited to get to that one too. Okay, let's have a look now at a couple of books that I picked up, and poetry is a good segue here because the next book I picked up was a poetry collection by Rose Lucas called Unexpected Clearing. Now, the reason I bought this one and I ordered it directly from UWA Press is because I finished this one, Even in the Dark, also by Rose Lucas, in, I guess, February or early March perhaps, and I immediately wanted to read everything she's ever written because I loved that that collection. So this is another collection of hers, and I'm really excited to get to it. I don't think I need to give you any kind of synopsis because it's a poetry collection. So yeah, just very excited to have that one. And while I was on the UWA Press website, I had a look to see, you know, things that were on sale, etc. And I ended up picking up this one. I can't remember if it was on sale or not, or if I just was interested in it, but it's called The Lakes Apprentice by Annamaria Weldon. Now this one also, I believe, is poetic, maybe. So it says, how do we describe a place? Annamaria Weldon offers an intimate portrait of the chain of lakes between Mandurah and Bunbury on Australia's southwest coast. This area, which includes Lake Clifton, is conserved as Yalgarup National Park. The Lakes Apprentice contains a suite of poems, a suite of poems with celebrated essays and photographs and nature notes cognizant of current environmental research. This elegant testimony collapses time, evoking the long past of Binjareb Noongar relationship to the wetlands, and thinks through to a resilient future. This is a quote. This is an act of pilgrimage in writing. Annamaria Weldon seeks and finds. She advances with tact and attention. She gives her readers the gift of seeing landscape with new eyes. Sounds great. So yeah, beautiful. Some photography in there as well. So yeah, I will get to this collection at some point, but it just sounded really interesting, so I picked that one up as well. The last of the new books that I picked up is this one, The Extinction of Irena by Jennifer Croft, and that is because a book club that I'm I'm part of, but I don't always participate in, was reading it. Also, this book was highly recommended by Elizabeth Morgan. I'll link her channel down in the description below. She loved this book, and hearing her recommendation of it made me very keen to read it. So I decided to pick it up. Will I read it when everyone else is reading it? Probably not. Probably not, because I have a lot of reading projects going on at the moment, but I will at some point read this one. This is a book. Was it nominated for something? It may have been. I know definitely that Jennifer Croft has been nominated as a translator, maybe, or maybe it was for the Women's Prize or the International Book. I can't remember. Anyway, this is related to, here we go, International Booker Prize winning translator and Women's Prize finalist. So she's been involved in both of those prizes. So this is a propulsive, beguiling novel about 8 translators and their search for a world-renowned author who goes missing. 8 translators arrive at a house in a primeval Polish forest on the border of Belarus. It belongs to the writer Irena, and they are there to translate her magnum opus, Grey Eminence. But within days of their arrival, Irena disappears without a trace. The translators, who hail from 8 different countries but share the same reverence for their beloved author, begin to investigate where she may have gone while proceeding with work on her masterpiece. They explore this ancient wooded refuge with its intoxicating slime moulds and lichens, and study her exotic belongings and layered texts for clues. But doing so reveals secrets and deceptions of Irena that they are utterly unprepared for. Forced to face their differences as they grow increasingly paranoid in this fever dream of isolation and obsession, soon the translators are tangled up in a web of rivalries and desire, threatening not only their work but the fate of their beloved author herself. So yeah, I'm really excited to read this one, and I'm glad I now have it in my collection. Also, just checking this out. Look how gorgeously pink the hardcover is. Love that. Okay, those are the new books. Let me just have a little shuffle and we'll have a look at the second-hand books. Okay, we're ready. Another book that I picked up, sorry, thinking about book clubs. So I am, if you've been around and heard me hauling and or reviewing books, you may know that I am part of a book club that is attempting to read books from around the world. I picked up this next book hoping that it would be the one, because it was the one I was the most interested in when we selected a book for Nepal. It did not win, but I bought it anyway. And it's called Arresting God in Kathmandu by Samrat Upadhyay. I apologise, I'm definitely saying that wrong. Who is an author who was born in Nepal and moved to the US when he was 21. So it says, from the first Nepali author writing in English to be published in the West, Arresting God in Kathmandu brilliantly explores the nature of desire and spirituality in a changing society. I'm just going to check and see, actually, when this book was initially published. 2001 was the first publication of this book. So it says, with the assurance and unsentimental wisdom of a long-established writer, the author records the echoes of modernization throughout love and family. Here are husbands and wives bound together by arranged marriages, but sometimes driven elsewhere by an intense desire for connection and transcendence. In a city where gods are omnipresent, where privacy is elusive and family defines identity, these men and women find themselves at the mercy of their desires, but at the will of their society. Psychologically rich and astonishingly acute, Arresting God in Kathmandu introduces a potent new voice in contemporary fiction. So it just sounded really good. So I will at some point read that one as well, even though it was not the one that my book club chose out of our options. This next one is just a really beautiful edition of a book I have read many years ago now. Actually, sorry, I tell a lie. I've read The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald, but I've never read Tender is the Night. And I found this beautiful edition and decided to pick it up. So, yeah, very excited about this one. It is a classic. It's published initially in 1934. And this one is all about a wealthy American couple who are holidaying on the French Riviera. They meet a young film star called Rosemary Hoyt. Her arrival causes a stir in their social circle and exposes the cracks in their fragile marriage. As their relationship unravels, glimpses of their troubled past emerge and a series of disturbing events unfolds. So yeah, I will at some point read this one, but yeah, just very excited to have such a beautiful classic in my collection. The next one is a book that I picked up because it had been, I want to say it was the Booker Prize, but it could have been the Women's Prize last year or the year before, and that is The Wren by Anne Enright. It says she's a Booker Prize winning author, but that doesn't necessarily mean that this book was in the Booker Prize. It may have been the Women's Prize. Anyway, let me tell you about it. Carmel had been alone all her life. The baby knew this. They looked at each other and all of time was there. The baby knew how vast her mother's loneliness had been. Carmel's daughter, Nell, funny, brave, and so much loved, is a young woman with adventure on her mind. As she sets out into the world, she finds her family history hard to escape. For her mother, Carmel, Nell's leaving home opens a space in her heart where the turmoil of a lifetime begins to churn, and across the generations falls the long shadow of Carmel's famous father, an Irish poet of beautiful words and brutal actions. So yeah, I heard mixed things about this one. I don't think everybody loved this book when it was being read in whatever prize it was nominated for. But I am interested to read this one, so we'll get to that one when we get to it. Another one that we will get to when we get to it is a non-fiction book called Quartet, How Four Women Challenged the Musical World by Leah Broad. This is a book that I picked up because I'm interested in music generally, but this is sort of like looking at four relatively, not unknown to today musicians and people involved in the music industry. And they are Ethel Smith, who was born in 1858, who was a composer of operas. Rebecca Clark, born in 1886, who was a violinist. And Dorothy Howell, born in 1898, who shot to fame at the 1919 proms. And Doreen Carwithen, born in 1922, who was one of Britain's first women film composers and scored Elizabeth II's coronation film. So there you go. These are just four women involved in music who I'm interested to learn more about, because I don't know about any of those four people. Another book I've picked up is Hester and Harriet by Hilary Spiers. I feel like I picked this one up because I sort of had this vague idea that I'd heard good things about it, but I don't really know anything about the book itself. So it says, when widowed sisters Hester and Harriet move together into a comfortable cottage in a pretty English village, the only blights on their cosy landscape are their crushingly boring cousins, George and Isabel, who are determined that the sisters will never want for company, including Christmas Day. On their reluctant drive over to Christmas dinner, the sisters come across a waif-like young girl hiding with her baby in a disused bus shelter. Seizing upon the perfect excuse for returning to their own warm hearth, Hester and Harriet insist on bringing Daria and Milo home with them. But with the knock at their front door the next day by a sinister stranger looking for a girl with a baby, followed quickly by their cousin's churlish 15-year-old son Ben, who also appears to be seeking sanctuary, Hester and Harriet's carefully crafted peace and quiet quickly begins to fall apart. With dark goings-on in the village, unlooked-for talents in Ben, and the deeper mysteries in Daria's story, Hester and Harriet find their lives turned upside down. And perhaps that's exactly what they need. So that sounds fun. I like the idea of this, like a really, interesting, kind of intriguing story. And I didn't realise it was set at Christmas time, so that might be one to save for December, and maybe pick up then. Okay, the next books and these are the last ones that I picked up in the month of March, were books I got for free. And these were books that I picked up. I was visiting a library and they had a trolley of books that were for free. So these are the ones that I got. I picked up a copy of The Elegance of the Hedgehog by Muriel Barbary. This is a book that I've heard Lena Norms go on about as being one of her sort of favourite books. A book that maybe she read when she was younger and it sort of holds a place for that reason. And I have heard mixed things about this book, but it was free, so I decided to get it. So it says, Renee is the concierge of a grand Parisian apartment building on the left bank. To the residents, she is honest, reliable, and uncultivated, an ideal concierge. But Renee has a secret. Beneath this conventional facade, she is passionate about culture and the arts, and more knowledgeable in many ways than her employers with their outwardly successful but emotionally void lives. Down in her lodge, Renee is resigned to living a lie, with only visits from her one friend, Manuela, to break the monotony. Meanwhile, several floors up, 12-year-old Paloma Jossi is determined to avoid the predictably bourgeois future laid out for her and plans to commit suicide on her 13th birthday. Okay, that turned dark. But before this happens, the death of one of their privileged neighbours will bring dramatic change to number 7, Rue de Grenelle, altering the course of both their lives forever. Having taken France by storm with sales of over 1 million copies, this funny, moving and wise novel is now an international publishing sensation. So at some point we'll pick that one up. Another book actually recommended, the author is a favourite of Elizabeth Morgan, who I mentioned before, is Olga Tokarczuk. I think I may have said that right, but I might be wrong. And this is her most recent book, The Impusium, which was translated by Antonia Lloyd-Jones. So it says, the Nobel Prize winner's latest work is a riveting, humorous tale of mystery that takes misogyny to task. In September 1913, I'm not even going to attempt to say that name. There's a person, a student, it says, a student suffering from tuberculosis arrives at a health resort in what is now Western Poland. Every day, its residents gather in the dining room to imbibe the hallucinogenic local liqueur, to obsess over money and status, and to discuss the great issues of the day. Will there be war? Do devils exist? Are women inherently inferior? But disturbing events are happening in the guest house and its surroundings. Someone or something seems to be infiltrating their world. As our student attempts to decipher the sinister forces at work, little does he realize they have already chosen their next target. So I think the book that Elizabeth really likes of hers is Drive Your Plough Over the Bones of the Dead. And I don't know that she enjoyed this one as much, but anyway, it was for free, so I was excited to pick that one up as well. Okay, so that is it. That is the haul for the month of March. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Lots of books, more to come, more hauls to come, because I am currently looking at a stack, which is my April haul, and I've already been collecting books in May. So we've got many more hauls to come, but thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.